Hey, hi everyone. Hi Loita. Okay, so hi Anbu. Okay, so maybe let's just wait a couple of minutes for anyone else to join. Okay, so whoever is present here, right? Did you guys go through the GitHub repository for the Chinook dataset that I mentioned? And did you guys were you guys able to solve the five assignment that I gave yesterday? Anyone? Okay, so okay, fine. So can I ask you one question, everyone? Like, you have seen all these concepts of SQL, right, in this course, and today is the 20th session that we are having. So far, which concept do you think is the most complex, or do you think everything has been pretty simple? Just want to know which concept is the most difficult for everyone in general. So, any feedback on that? Generally, in SQL, which concept do you think is the most complex? Window function and PLSQL. Okay. PLSQL stuff, probably. Okay. So, Brent and Murli, are you guys working as PLSQL developers? Is there anyone here who is working as like a PLSQL developer? For me, recursion. Okay, so recursion, no PLSQL though. Okay. So Brent, do you write procedures? Like, do you use procedures a lot in your work? Okay. So mainly you work on SQL, right? Okay, okay, fine. So Loita says procedure recursion. Pallavi says window functions recursion. So I see the most common stuff is one is I think PLSQL. When you say PLSQL stuff, I understand it might be procedures, right? Mainly, right? Procedures and user-defined functions. Then window functions, and then recursion. Okay, not as PLSQL developer, so not so much worried, but about window functions and recursion queries, I need to work on it a lot. Okay, fine. So I think most common I see here is window function and recursion. What kind of question format we can expect for data analyst position? I think it depends on your experience. I think if you will always, if you are, let's say, 3+ years of experience, then you should definitely expect questions on window functions and recursions. And then, let's say, if you are a fresher, then you should expect questions on joins and subqueries, CT, etc. So, if you are strong with joins, subqueries, CTE, window functions, I think if you have and group and the group by and aggregate stuff, if you are if you are strong in these five things, then I think um, probably you should be good for any interview. Recursion is not everyone asks during interview recursive SQL queries. Maybe in some of the interviews, let's say if you are 3 or 5 years of experience, then maybe they might ask. And also depends on the company. If their project is using a lot of recursive SQL queries, then they might expect someone who is confident in writing a recursive SQL queries. So then the questions might be related to that. Um, what kind of question format we can expect for data analysts for freshers? Where do we stand, assuming we have understood 90% of what you thought? I'm talking about efficiency SQL, excluding fail SQL. So in my opinion, right? So one, if you have finished my course and you have basically, so I think by the end of this class today for this particular project, I think I have prepared some 18 SQL queries, and including all of these SQL queries, I think we will end up solving much more than 100 SQL queries. Okay, so assuming that you understood all the different concepts that I explained in my class, and you have not only seen me solving SQL queries, but you also have solved those SQL queries on your own. Okay, so 100 plus SQL queries. I would say that you should be good to clear any SQL round of interview for a fresher for up to 5 years. Okay, so generally, okay, that the thing is you need to have solved those 100 SQL queries on your own and not just seen me solving the queries, because just watching someone solving a problem is not going to give you the complete knowledge. You need to do it on your own without looking at my solution, right? You need to watch my class, understand the concept, then try to solve it on your own. Okay, and if you have done that, then if you attend any interview with between 0 to 5 years of experience, I think you should be able to clear it. Okay, that is my opinion. Okay, it's not like a hard 100% hard truth, that because some people, even if they might not have solved all the 100 queries, they might still be able to solve clear an interview. Some people, even if they have solved all the 100 SQL queries, they may still fail to clear an interview, because I have attended some interviews where the questions asked were extremely complicated. Okay, and I have attended SQL interviews where I was like 8 years of experience, and the SQL interview questions that were asked were like extremely basic. Okay, so it also depends on who is your interviewer, right? But in general, I would say if you have thoroughly learned from my course, then any interview from 0 to 5 years, you should be good. Would we have access to the class video after the end of the course? Yes, you will have the access to the recording for the next 6 months. How can we import CSV files, Excel files to Postgres? Actually, I have made a video about. I have made a video where took a Olympic data set from Kaggle, and I loaded it into. It was, I think, in CSV format, and I loaded it into PostgreSQL database. Okay, so you just need to use the import and export to basically load the data. You just need to use the import command, which is available in every tool. Okay, um, you can just check out that. Okay, fine. So okay, so before I can start, right, since this is we'll just be doing the projects, I'll just okay, maybe I'll ask this question maybe in tomorrow's session. Okay, okay, just one highlight: tomorrow's session is in a different timing. I think tomorrow's session, the timing is 9 a.m. for me. So I think in India it will be 6:30 a.m. And I think the Eastern time in US, I think it's going to be 9 p.m. Okay. So just note on the difference in the timing. Now let's go back to our so let me just move this. Okay. So yesterday I had given you these five assignments, right? So I believe not everyone has solved it. Okay. Has anyone at least gone to the GitHub and checked out this repository? Did you look at try to read the whatever explanation that they have given regarding this project? Anyone who went to the GitHub repository for this and just read through anything? No? Okay, so no one went through this. Okay, fine. So I am hoping maybe this weekend you can go through the repository. So what I'm going to be doing is, as I told you, this is a project where it's a data set of a particular media store. Okay, and they want some questions to be answered so they can make better business decisions, right? So I have come up with some 13 SQL queries for this. Okay, and I think you will find some additional queries in the repository as well. Okay, so check out both of them. So let's try to solve one by one a few of them. Okay, so I'm just going to start with the first question that I had given it here. Okay, so I'll just open a new window here, and Okay, so before I start, right, I want to ask one more thing, okay? Because just now, a few minutes back, I saw one comment on my YouTube video saying that the course is very basic. It does not teach any advanced concepts. So I want to know your opinion, okay? Uh, because I think when people tell advanced SQL, you should not be misinterpreting it with like performance tuning and all these concepts of performance tuning like indexes and everything, right? Because that was anyways not part of my course. I never told that I'm going to be doing performance tuning here. So I want to know, do you guys think that you learned some advanced concept here? Because what do you guys think, like all the concept that I have taught here, is it too basic? Because is it too basic, or did we cover some advanced concept as well? Or did you feel that you started from the absolute scratch and then you slowly went on to the intermediate concept and then to some advanced concepts? Did you feel that there was this kind of progression in this course, or did you think that this was too basic? Everything was very basic. I don't know recursion and with class. It's basic to intermediate. Yes, there is progression beyond basic. Window function recursion are not basic. Okay, so it's basic to intermediate. It progressed nicely. Last few weeks were advanced. Okay, okay. Because I designed this course on my own. I have not basically taken the concepts from some other courses, etc. This is what I felt with my own experience of how a basic to advanced course should be taught. Okay, what is the next level? If anyone asks me what is the next thing that if you want to like become an SQL expert, and what would be the next thing you should learn, I would say performance tuning, right? And if anyone is interested in PLSQL, but not everyone actually is going to use PLSQL except for store procedure and user defined function. I don't think so. Other PLSQL concepts are going to be used by most until and unless you're actually working on PLSQL as a PLSQL developer. So this is what I felt. But when I read that comment, right, no, it was not a bad comment. It was just that they said the course is pretty basic, does not cover advanced things. So I was like, I did cover advanced things. So what is the expectations from people when they say advanced thing? Are they expecting um like what performance tuning and etc.? So just wanted to know what is the majority of you guys think. Okay, last few weeks were advanced. You thought everything, whatever I'm expecting. It seems basic, advanced, not at intermediate. Okay. I learned basic in earlier, but definitely learned few new concepts. It is actually advanced concept. PLSQL performance tuning is actually something different. Okay. Once we cross the initial concept, it becomes easy and we feel everything is basic. Okay. I think this is pretty good point from Murli. Okay. Because SQL is a very easy programming language. Okay. It's not like something like Java or even Python is very easy, but I know there are certain programming languages which are like every time you learn something new, it looks completely different from what you have learned previously. But when it comes to SQL, if you know the basics, you'll still be using all the basic concepts even when you're writing the advanced concepts, right? You'll still be using joins, you'll still be using subqueries. And some people might think that, oh, this is also very basic. Okay. I think people do not understand that SQL is not something. SQL is actually a pretty simple language, right? Make other codes for performance tuning. I will do that in the future. Another way to teach and make money. Haha. Okay, noted. I would say out of all sessions, session five sessions are helpful. Out of all session five sessions are helpful. Okay, will you do a performance tuning course in the future? If you can teach based on job perspective as in data analyst, ATL developer. Okay, not much data manipulation, data movements. Okay, we look pivot. Okay, so I think a majority of the feedback, I would say you guys agree with what my understanding was. Sorry, I'm wasting 5-10 minutes in this class because actually that comment was actually kind of bothering me because um, I don't know about others, but if I'm taking up some codes and if I design this codes myself, I felt this is what, if any, because this is the course that I also asked my sister to join. Okay, I also asked my wife to join because they also want to learn SQL. They want to become a data analyst or something. So if I'm recommending it to my own sibling and to my own wife, then I am hoping that I truly believe this is the way to learn SQL. Okay, But then when I see some comments who tell that this is very basic, there is no advanced concept, it was kind of like bothering me. That's why I just wanted to get your feedback. But I'm so happy that you guys, most of you guys agree. Okay, I'm sure not everyone is going to agree, because if someone already knew the basics, um, then I understand, okay, your point of view. After 2 years, keep the fire alive by continuously hitting SQL challenges. Okay, so this is a good point from Murli. Okay, don't just stop learning SQL after this course. You need to, I would say, I would highly recommend go to Stata Scratch and Lead Code. Solve all the free SQL queries first. Okay, don't pay anything. Just solve all the basic free SQL, not basic, free SQL queries. I think Stata Scratch has 50 free SQL queries, including the hard ones, including medium and hard ones. Okay, and you know what? How Stata Scratch gets those queries? This is what I actually asked the founder of Stata Scratch. Okay, and he told me how they get the SQL queries is they have a web scraper which goes through all these different websites and platforms where interview questions are asked, and they actually scrape the real interview queries. Okay, so the interview questions that you see on Stata Scratch are actually the interview questions that were asked by Google and by Facebook and all of these big companies. Okay, so definitely use those platforms. It's intermediate, to be frank, as starter rate is advanced level. Okay, so I think this is a good point from Dolly. It depends on what is your um, proficiency in SQL, right? If you already knew the basics, then it's not going to challenge you. But if you were starting from scratch, I think most of these queries would definitely challenge you. We request you to share the real in experience. Many people tell that I want real project experience, but one thing that people don't realize is I'm actually going to make a video next week where I want to stress on one thing is that no matter what you learn from courses and on your own, until and unless you work on project, you'll never get that real project experience. Okay, and most of the time, the real project experience you get when you get a job, and most of the employers are they know that. Okay, so real project experience you get when you're really working on project. Okay, no course or no Stata Scratch or any platforms is going to give you that. You need to take a project, start the project from scratch, finish it till the end, either maybe a freelance project or maybe real company project also. Okay, but you need to really work on a project. Okay, it's not free. Stata Scratch is, I think they have some 500 SQL questions, 50 of them are free, then remaining is you need to pay. Good got data analyst, but nothing advanced for development. We should not expect much in this $50. Okay, start a skill from zero and become expert and advance in 20 classes. Okay, so this is a good one from early. Uh, if there was a 20 class which is going to make you expert in any programming language, mm, I think that is a little too much to ask. Okay, we can only teach you, then it's on your practice and everything. Okay, so I'm so sorry for wasting these 15 minutes because just before the class I saw that comment. It was kind of disturbing me. Okay, and I also want to tell that if anyone has liked this course or anyone has not liked this course, okay, positive or negative feedback, you can actually give your honest feedback. Either you can give it in the Light Hall. You guys have seen the Light Hall platform, right? There, I think you have an option for. I know one person has put a comment, put a feedback. I think it is Adam. Okay, what is it called? Testimonials. So there is a section for testimonials where you can add your feedback. Okay, if you have negative feedback, also okay. If you have positive feedback, also fantastic. Okay, you can put your feedback about my course in the testimonial. Okay, because anyone who comes to Lighthall can see that. Can see the your feedback. Okay, also it will help the Lighthall team also, and also I think it will help me, and also any future learners who would want to take up my class. Your feedback, they might know what to expect, what not to expect, right? Okay, this 6 months access thing, right? To be frank, it's not in my hand. I do not work for Lighthall. Lighthall decides on all of this. Okay, so you need to talk to Lighthall on that. um, yes, Jay. So I think I got all the feedback here. Okay, but your feedback can also help the future learners. I do not want anyone to join my course with having wrong expectations. Okay, I do not want someone to think that hey, they come to my course and then very next day they can go to Facebook and clear the most advanced SQL queries. Okay, I don't think so. That's going to happen. No course is going to guarantee you that. If any course is going to guarantee you that you're going to be an SQL expert in 20 classes, they're just faking it. Okay, it's all depends on how much you practice, how much effort you put. Okay, so let's start. Uh, I'm going to start with this one. Okay, the intention is I want to know how many of you have actually understood this data set. Okay, and how many of you can solve this problem, because this is a completely new data set that we have taken. Okay, and generally when you are working on a new data set, you take some time to understand the data, analyze how tables are related to one another, and then only you can solve the problem. Okay, so now let's say you have this problem where you need to find the artist who has contributed with the maximum number of songs. Okay, display the artist name and the number of albums. Now, my first question is, can anyone tell me which are the different tables that we will need to use in order to solve this problem, and what concept of SQL we may need to use in order to solve this problem? Can anyone answer that? Find the artist who has contributed with the maximum number of songs. Okay, so when you look at this problem, what you need to know is, first you need to find the artist, right? Where is my artist? That is this table, right? Okay, so Dolly says album and artist, and Krishna when he tells album and artist. Is there anyone else who thinks any other table we need to use, or album and artist is it enough? Okay, playlist. Anyone else? Okay, so Abhi tells track. Now if you look carefully here, we need to find the artist, okay, and who has contributed with the maximum number of songs, right? When they say songs, what do they mean? What is a song? Is it an album or a track? It's a track, right? So generally we can call a song like a track, right? So all the information about the song is present in the tracks table, right? And in the tracks table we have this track ID, we have the album ID, we have the genre and the name of the track, etc., right? What we need to do is we need to find the artist who has contributed the maximum number of songs. So we need to know who has written the or done the most number of songs, right? Which artist? Now I can see that I have the track ID and I have the album ID, right? I do not have the artist ID here, right? So somehow from this table, I can start from the track table, because this is where I can find number of songs. From here, I need to move to some other table to find the artist, right? So my artist is here, right? But here I only have artist ID and name. So I cannot just join my track table with artist table, but I have another table called as album, right? The album table has album ID, the title of the album, and the artist ID. So I can move from track to album using the artist ID, and then from album to artist by using the, I think, artist ID, right? Okay, from track to album using the album ID, and then album to artist using the artist ID, and then hopefully I can get my final result, right? So this kind of is what your thinking should be. Okay, you should know what is expected for the problem, and then you should decide, because here I have 13 tables. You might work on a project where you might have 25 tables or more. Okay, and the data set might not be everyone understands music and albums and everything. You might work on data set which you have no idea about. Okay, in that case, what I'm doing here, it's going to be very helpful. Okay, start from what you need for your solution, and then see which table has it, and then see how you can relate multiple tables together, right? So that's the intention of solving this problem. So I'm going to say that I'm going to start with track, because I want number of songs. Then I need to do a join, because finally I want artist, but I cannot join directly with artist, but I can join with album. So I'll say album here, and let's say I'm going to give the alias like EL. Okay, and how do I join album and artist? So I think I have album ID. So I can just tell EL dot album ID equal to E dot album ID. Okay, so that is fine. And then I need to join with another table, that is artist. Okay, and then I can join with the artist table using artist ID, and I think album has artist ID. Okay, so here I can give an alias like EAR, and I'll say EAR dot artist ID. EAR dot artist ID equal to EAL dot artist ID. Okay, so looks like these three tables I have done the join. Okay, now what I need is want to know artist who has contributed maximum number of songs. So first of all, before finding the maximum number of songs, I want to find the total number of songs, right? So I can just tell all the songs are present in the tracks table. That is why you can see we have 3,500 records. Okay, these are the number of songs available in the data set. Okay, now how can I find the number of songs here? Anyone? What concept can I use to find the number of songs? Count. Can I just use count or should I need to use something else? Can I just use count? Because I also need to know the artist and their count, right? For each artist, how much is their count? Group by, right? Yeah. So we need to do group the data. So I need to group the data based on each artist. So I can just tell maybe AR dot name. Okay. So I think in the artist table, the artist name is name. Okay. So AR dot name. Okay. And then here I can put this and then I can do a count. Okay, so hopefully this should be as number of songs. Okay, and this can be like as artist name. Okay, so if I run this, now you can see that for each artist I'm getting how many songs they have created. Okay, now what I want is I want with the maximum number of songs. So let's try to sort this data. So I'll say order by 2 in descending order. Okay, and I'll run this. So here it looks like Iron Maiden has written 213 songs. Okay, so this is basically, so my requirement is to find the artist who contributed with maximum number of songs, right? Display the artist name and the number of albums. So this person is basically is my in my final output. I only need to have this person. Okay, so how can I modify this query such that I only fetch the artist with the highest number of songs? Which particular concept here? Limit one. Is limit one the best approach? Because what would happen if, let's say, Iron Maiden and tomorrow this data set grew and this second person, so let's say U2, he also ended up having 213 songs. In that case, both these records would have 213. Then manually you would have to go and check, make it limit 2. Okay, so the right approach is to use the rank function, right? So how we can do that? I can use a subquery, or to make it more clear, I can use a CTE here. I'll just tell with CTE as, then okay, so if I'm using CTE, then I don't need to sort the data here. I'll remove this. First of all, I need my ranking, right? So I'm going to create a rank column here. So I'll say rank over, and I'll say order by count of 1 in descending order, and this is going to be my rank. Okay, now if I run my inner query here, now you can see that Iron Maiden is getting the rank as 1, and then finally in my outer query I can just tell star from CTE where RNK equal to 1. Okay, so if I run this, this is basically my final output. Okay, so if you do not want all the columns, you can just tell artist name and number of songs. Okay, so this is basically my final output. Many people said window function is complicated, but here it is very simple, right? Whenever you have a requirement where you want to fetch the highest number of something or the lowest number of something, or you want to fetch the second highest of something or fifth highest of something, or when you have this kind of a requirement, you should know that you should be using rank. Do not use limit. Okay, you might get the correct output for a given data, but if the data changes, limit may not always give the correct output. You can also put rank less than 2, that also is fine. Okay, so anything is fine. So I hope this is clear. No questions. Anyone has any confusion, you let me know. Okay, now let's try to solve a different problem. Okay, so I'll just take another problem. I'll try to solve whatever problem I can solve, and remaining I'll give it like assignment. Okay, because I have 13 problems here, I don't think so I can solve all the 13. I have one interesting one. Okay, so let's solve this. Let's see who can solve this problem. Okay, okay, so I'll keep this as it is. So this one is my problem number 11. Okay. I want to know which is the most popular and the least popular genre in my data set. Okay. So let's try to solve this. Okay. So I have all of this. So I have all of these tables here. Okay. And I want to find which is the most popular and the least popular genre. Okay. Can anyone tell how can I get started with solving this problem? The dataset was shared yesterday in my it's shared yesterday in the project folder. Okay, so genre, max and min from invoice group by genre. Actually, there is multiple different ways of solving this problem. Okay, uh, when you have this kind of a problems where you need to find most popular and least popular, right? Um, Okay, first of all, even before we go into the functionality of what particular concept or function we need to use to solve this problem, let's look at what are the different tables that we need to use to solve this problem. Okay, can anyone tell me which tables should I use here to solve this problem? Most popular genre, and okay, can you tell me how do you identify if a genre is most popular or not? What is your thinking? Sales, okay, fine. Sales is one way. Okay, so this is not okay. I think I have there is a additional point that is given for this problem, that is this one. Popularity is defined based on how many times it has been purchased, right? Okay, so what you guys said was correct. Okay, so if I want to know which genre has been purchased the most number of times, it is the most popular, and the vice versa is the least popular, right? Now which are the tables I need to use here? Anyone, can you tell me what tables I need to use to identify which genre was sold the most number of times, and which was sold the least number of times? Which tables? Can anyone tell? Can you open the genre table? Okay. So this is my genre table. You can see I have the genre ID and the name. Okay. So, and then I have something called as an invoice table. Okay. So here I have the invoice ID, the customer who purchased it, invoice date, and other billing information. Okay. Then I have the invoice line table where I have the invoice line ID, invoice ID, the track ID, the unit price, and its price. Okay. And everything. Okay. Then I have something called as a track table. Here I have the track ID, and then which album it belongs to, which genre it belongs to, etc. Okay, and then I have the album and etc. Okay, can anyone tell which tables I need to use? I want to know which genre was purchased. So let's say let's start with the most popular. Which genre was purchased the most number of times? And why would the store need this kind of a this report with this kind of information? Because if they are doing a concert, they would want to know for which concert they should be, which genre they should focus more on, right? So they can call the artist who is good with in that particular genre, right? So that is why they want to know which is the most popular genre, right? Can you show invoice table? So invoice is this one, customer, genre, invoice. Okay, so Dolly tells three tables: customer, genre, and invoice. Okay, do we need the customer table here? Join invoice to invoice line to list tracks. Okay, then join tracks to album to bring out albums sold. Then join with genre to find out the most sold genre. Okay, so I see some of you guys are having the right thinking. Okay, so let's go step by step. Okay, I want to know the most popular and the least popular genre. So first of all, I can very easily tell that I have to definitely use the genre table, right? This is 100% I need to use, but I need to use the most popular. I need to find the most popular, right? Popularity is defined based on how many times it was purchased. Now, where is my purchase information present in this data set, right? The purchase information is present in two different tables. I have invoice table, and then here I have the invoice ID, customer ID, and some billing information. And then here I have the invoice line table. Okay. What is the difference between invoice and invoice line table? Did anyone realize what is the difference between these two? Does anyone know? Invoice line has both have details like What is the difference? Invoice line and invoice. Okay, right. So invoice line has information about the tracks that have been sold, right? So only in invoice line, it tells me which track was actually purchased, right? But in the invoice table, it only tells which customer purchased this particular order, right? In this case, I'm interested in the genre, right? Now, each genre, what is a genre? Every track will have a particular genre, right? You can see here every track there is a genre id, right? So genre is directly linked to a track, right? Every track is will have a genre, it has to have a genre, right? So basically what I can tell is, if I want to find the most popular genre, either I need to see which genre was purchased the most, right? But if I go into my invoice line table, I don't see any information about genre here. So meaning that I have no way to know which genre was purchased the most. But each genre is linked to a track, right? And in the invoice line table, I can see that which track was purchased, right? So in using the invoice line table, I can tell which track was purchased the most or which track was least purchased, right? And then I can directly do like one to one, it's one to one mapping, right, between track and genre, right? So what I can say is, in order to find the most popular genre, I can use the invoice line table. So invoice line table, and I'll call it like IL. Okay. Now invoice line table, I can only join it with the track table, because invoice line only has information about invoice line ID and track ID, right? And track ID has both genre ID and track ID. So looks like I need to start with invoice line, then I need to join with track, okay, and then I need to join with genre, right? So I cannot put genre first, because then I will basically, I do not have a way to join it with other table, right? So first of all, I'll remove this. I'll take the invoice line table, I'll join it with track, okay, and I'll join it using the track ID. So track ID equal to il dot track ID, okay, and then I can join it with genre table. So I'll say g dot what is the column name, okay, genre ID is equal to t dot genre id, okay. So hopefully this makes sense, okay. Each invoice is corresponding to a track, each track is corresponding to a genre, right? Now from here, let's say if I just print uh, t, I want the most popular genre, right? So here I can just tell maybe g dot name, okay, and let's say I'll do a count of one, okay, and here I can just tell group by g dot name, okay, and this will be, let's say, my journal's name, okay. Let's see what happens. Here I'm getting some information. I want to know the most popular, so I can just tell order by 2 in descending order, and now I can see that. Okay, so I think this pretty much looks like we are halfway through. So rock, there are, so looks like 835 times this particular track was purchased. Okay, the rock was purchased, and then the least one is this rock and roll and science fiction, right? Is it clear how we went about solving this problem? Any confusion on this? Is mentioned invoice line. Invoice line has details. Okay, so okay, so fine. Now what I need to do is, so I have these. Now can you tell me how can I modify this query such that I only fetch the last two genres, because you can see they both have six. The count is six, and then the most popular is rock. That is this one. So I need to modify this query such that I fetch the first record which has the highest number of purchases. Okay, and then I need to have this one, the rock and roll and science fiction. Can anyone tell how we can do this? Okay, so Suraya tells dense rank, but is there any other way we can do this? Is there any other window function we can solve it using? Can anyone think of another window function? Not row number, not rank, any other window function? Okay, first value and last value. Can we solve it using first value and last value such that we fetch rock, which is our first value, and this is the last value? Can we do that? Do you guys think we can do that? Yes. Okay. So let's try to do that. Okay. Let's see this one. So I'll say number of purchase. Okay. And then here I can just tell this will be first value. Okay. First value we need to give an argument. So I'll just tell name. Okay. And over. And here I'll just tell, I don't need to do a partition here, but I can just do order by count of one in descending order. And this is going to be most popular. Okay. And the same thing I can do here with last value. So I'll say last value, fetch name, and this can be least popular. Okay. So if I run this, and I'm getting an error, so I think it is G dot because there are multiple table with the same name, same column name. So I'll run this now. And now you can see that for most popular, I think everywhere I'm getting rock, that is fine. But for least popular, looks like the data that I'm getting is not correct. Can anyone tell how I can fix this? Okay, frame clause, right? Because for last value, I need to have frame clause here. So I can just tell a range between, is that unbounded preceding and unbounded following. Okay, so now let's run this. Now you can see I'm getting only same value, that is science fiction. Okay, but my question is this correct? Is this least value correct? Generally, when we are sharing our result to stakeholders, we generally we give it as a dashboard, like drawing a visualization. Okay, or let's say if your project is not using visualization, then maybe you provide it in an Excel file as a report. Okay, yeah, generally we do not give queries, but there are cases where we have given queries to stakeholders as well. Okay, there can be some stakeholders who are good technically and they would prefer to they have access to the database, then we would generally write a view and we give access to the view. Okay, can you use first value order by ascending? This way you don't have to use window frame when you need the last value. So order by ascending. Okay, so let's try to do that, what Jay is telling. So instead of doing descending, let's by default do in ascending order. And let's say I'm just going to have this. Okay, let's see if that works. And then I'll comment out this one. Okay, and now let's run this. So is this what you said, Jay? Or did you mean something else? So, okay, change to first value. Okay, so first value here, rock and roll. So here I think you still need uh, maybe this can be okay. This can be in descending, right? So this is what you said, is it, Jay? Whether you mention ascending or you don't mention, it's basically the same. Okay, so if I mention ascending, I'm getting wrong output, right? I'm getting the most popular as rock and roll. The most popular is rock, not rock and roll, right? Okay. But anyways, whether I use this range window function or I do not use range window function, this output is wrong. Can anyone tell why this output is wrong? I'll go back to my original query and I'll just remove this. Using this first value and last value, you will not be able to solve this problem. Can anyone guess why? If I run this, you can see that I'm getting rock as the most popular and the least popular is science fiction. If I go to the last row, my least popular, I have two least popular genres, that is rock and roll and science fiction. But here I'm only getting science fiction. So that is not correct, right? There is a tie, yes. So no matter what I use, whether I use ascending, descending, and I avoid using the frame clause, still I will, because last value will only go to the last record and fetch the data. But here what is happening is I need to fetch the data from the last two records, right? So this is why I think this solution comes pretty close, but it's still incorrect. Okay, the correct way of doing this, again, we may have to use the rank window function. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy the same query, okay, and I'll put the query here and I'll remove these two, first value, last value. Okay, so this is what we had previously. Okay, so we have rock and we have rock and roll and science fiction. Okay, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a rank here. So I'm just going to say rank over, I'll say order by count of one in descending order, and I'll say this is like rank. Okay, and now I will run this. Okay, so here I can see the most popular, I can tell rank is 1, and then for the least popular I can see the rank is 23 for both the cases. Okay, now can you tell me how would you modify this query such that you only fetch records where the rank is 1 and the rank is 23? Anyone? Now the rank is 23. Tomorrow, if the data grew, the rank might be something else. How would you solve it? Min and max, Bhavesh says. Anything else? Okay. So what we can do is, first of all, I'm just going to put this into a CT. So I'll just tell which CT as, okay, and I'll move this to the right, okay, and I'll keep. I don't need this order by here, okay, and then here I can just tell select um, genre name and let's say number of purchase from CTE where RNK equal to 1. Okay, so when I do RNK equal to 1, I will be able to get the most popular, right? So if I run this, I will get the most popular, but I also want to get the least popular, right? So there are many different ways of doing this. One way of doing this is I can just use an union clause here, okay? And I can copy the same query that I have written here. I can put that same thing here. But here, instead of fetching rank equal to 1, I need to fetch the maximum rank. So I do not want to hard code it to 23 because this rank can change with when the data changes, right? So what I can do is I can put a subquery here telling that select max of RNK from CTE. This max of RNK from CTE will return the highest rank, right? And I'm just going to compare it with this. Okay. Instead of in, I can also put equal to because it's always going to be one value, right? And now if I run this, I will get all the three records that I want. Okay. Now to tell which is the most popular and which is the least popular, I can just hard code a value here telling that this is most popular. Okay. And just select like popularity. Okay. And tell this is the least popular. Okay. And let's say I don't need a number of purchase here. And now if I run this, now you can see that this is what I actually wanted. So I wanted to know which is the most popular genre and which is the least popular genre, right? And here it's very clear that rock is most popular and rock and roll and science fiction are the least popular genres. Okay. So is it clear? Did you guys understand? Did you guys understand how you could use when you're using CT? It's okay to use multiple select queries if you have a union or a union all, etc. Okay, and your CT you can also use it here inside the subquery. So like your normal table. Okay. Okay. So I hope this is clear. Let's move on to the next one, and that is okay. So this is another slightly interesting problem. So let's see who can solve this problem. Okay. So I have this requirement here, and let's do one thing. I'll just copy all of these tables down here. Okay. So my next requirement is I need to find artist who has performed in multiple genres. Okay. Display the artist name and the genre. Okay. So I want to know which artist has performed in multiple genres. Can anyone solve this problem? What are the different steps that you need to take to solve this problem? Anyone? What is your thinking? Which tables you need to use? How or what is the approach? Like for the last solution, I think Murli gave a approach where he said join from this table to this table, do this and then do that, etc. So what do you think? How can you find this? Find the artist who have performed in multiple genres. Artist who has performed in multiple genres, right? Now, I have the artist table here, okay, artist and artist name, okay, and I know that the album that each artist has made, I get it from the album table, okay. Then if I go to the track table using that album ID, I'll come to know which track each artist has made, okay. But then there is, how do I know if an artist has made more, has performed in multiple genres? So this is a little tricky. Maybe when I'm going to solve it, you will not realize the trickiness of this particular problem. But if anyone watching the recording, I would say you stop this recording here and try to solve it on your own and see what is the challenging part here. Okay. So the challenging part here is, if I join all of this table, I can easily come to know which genre was performed by which artist. I can just join 3 4 tables and I can tell which artist has performed which genre, right? But my intention is, I want to find only those artists who have performed in different genres, right? How do you do that? Of course, I can join four different tables to find which artist has performed in which genres, etc. But how do I find artist who has done more than one genre, right? Okay, so let's try to do that. First of all, when I have this kind of requirement, first of all, I want to make uh, I generally what we can do is, I want to come up with a result set where I can see each artist what genres they have performed in. Okay, once I have this result set, then I will go to the next step. Okay, so first of all, I can just tell select from. Okay, what I need is, I need here I can see that I have album ID and the genre ID. I basically want artist name and the genre name. Okay, something like that. So what I'm going to do is, first of all, I'll use the track table. I'll say T. I'll join it with my album table. I'll call it EAL, on EAL dot album ID equal to T dot album ID. Then I will join it with the artist table and I'll say AR. I'll say AR dot artist ID equal to AL dot artist ID, and then again I will join it with genre table. So genre G, I'll say G dot genre ID equal to T dot genre ID. Okay, so track has genre ID, right? So I think here I should probably get all the data, but the data that I only want to see is, I want to see um, the artist name. So I'll say AR dot name as artist name. Okay. And then I want to see the genre name. So G dot name as genre name. Okay. So now if I run this, now I can see that I have all of these artists. So AC's ACDC, he has done rock, except he has done rock only. I see ACDC again, he has done rock. Why do I have multiple records here? Does anyone know why I'm getting these duplicate records here? Multiple songs, right? Yes, because these artists might have performed in multiple songs, right? So that is why you have multiple records. I have not fetched the all the other unique columns here. I'm only interested in these two columns. Okay. Now, if I had to find out which artist has performed in multiple genres, what I'm going to do is, just to sort the data, I'll just tell order by 1, comma 2. So for each artist, then I'll sort it with genre. Let's see then if it is easy for me to identify from here. Okay. Okay. So here, just by looking at the data, I can see that. Okay. Oh, these are two different people. So not this. Um, there might be someone. Okay. Okay. So maybe we have a lot of data, difficult to analyze. But can you tell me, how can I modify this query such that I only extract those artists who have performed in multiple genres? What is your solution from here? multi group by what? Group by artist name. Okay. So what I can do is I'll just say with CPE as this one. Okay. And I don't need this ordering here. Okay. And if I do select star from CPE, then I'll get this data. But what I need is find artists who have performed in multiple genres, right? Display the artist name and the genre name. Both I need to display. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to open another CPE here, and I'll tell maybe I'll call it like I don't know. So multiple genre, okay, and then here I will just have another query. So I'll just tell select from CPE. Okay, that is my above query here. And I'll just tell group by the artist name. Okay, I'll have artist name here. And I'll say count of one. Okay. Is there anything else I need to do? How do I find an artist who has performed in multiple genres? Can I just do a count of one? Will that work? Or do I need to do something extra here? Anyone? Just by doing this will I work? No, right? Yeah, so I only need to find. So here what I have got is I know each artist has performed in which genre, right? Here you can see ACDC has only done rock, etc., right? But let's say ACDC had also done classical, then I would have another record here with ACDC as classical, right? And when I do the group by based on ACDC, okay, then I would get here count as two because there is one record for rock and another record for classical, right? So that is how when I do the group by artist, if I get the count more than one, that means those are the artists who have performed in multiple genres, right? That is how I can identify that. So I can say here having count of one is greater than one. If I do this, I'll only get those artists who have performed in multiple genres. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'll just put this and I'll run this. And now count of one. This does not look right, right? So what happened here? Okay, so 1 minute. So I'll do CPE. When I do CPE, I get all of this. Now from here, I need to group the data. I group based on this. Oh no, I cannot only group. Okay. So what I can do here is, first of all, maybe I'll take a distinct of this. So I'm not interested in all of these multiple records. I need to find the distinct, right? So when I run the distinct here, okay, and now let's do an order by 1 comma 2 and let's see the data. So now when I sort the data and when I have done the distinct, here I can see that is there any artist who has performed in multiple genres, just so that I can show you an example. Okay, so here I think I found an artist. Okay, so if you see here, I have Amy Winehouse. She has performed in genre pop as well as in R&B soul. Okay, so looks like this should be one of the artists who should be part of my output, right? So how did I do that? I did a distinct here because I don't want duplicate. I am not interested in uh, data for each song. I'm only interested in the data for unique genres, right? And that is why I did a distinct here. Okay, so this order by is not required. I'll remove that. And then what I can do is, then when I do the group by based on each artist, when I do a count, if there are multiple records, that means they worked on multiple genres. Okay, then hopefully this count should work. Okay, so now when I do this and when I run this, now I think I'm getting all of these artists who has performed in multiple genres. So I think Amy is also present here, and there are some artists who have performed in three genres. and so on and so forth. Okay, so find artists who performed in multiple genres. Okay, so and display the artist name and the genre name. Now I need to also display the genre name, right? So how do I do that? Multiple genre here only has my artist name, so I'm just going to call it like MG, and then I'm going to join it with the CT table, and I'll join it using CT dot artist name equal to mg dot artist name, and here I will just fetch mg dot artist name comma cte dot genre name. Okay, so now if I run this, I will get all these are all the artists who have performed in multiple genres, and just to sort the data I'll say order by 1 comma 2. Okay, and now when I run this, now you can see that I have got Amy has done two genres, and then Antonio has done jazz and Latin. Audio Slave has done alternative and alternative punk, and as well as rock. Okay, so this is how I have solved this problem. Is it clear? Did you guys understand what was the requirement and how you can solve this kind of problem by breaking them into two different parts? So even when you broke into two different parts, we had some problem. Then we realized we need to take distinct. So all of this, you only will get an idea about this once you have understood the data set, once you have practiced solving multiple queries. Okay, so I think this might look simple when I am solving it, but if you had to solve it on your own without looking at my solution, it might be a little confusing. Okay, like what Dolly said. So, okay, so I hope this is fine. If you just try to solve it on your own, I think it will become more clear. Now, let's try to solve some other problems. Okay, so this is 10, right? So, we solved 11. And let's go to another one. And let's say I'm going to solve this. Okay, so now let's say I have this kind of a problem here. Okay, so we need to identify the 5 most popular artists for the most popular genre. Okay, so first of all, we need to find the 5 most popular artists. Okay, for the most popular genre. Okay, now previously also already we wrote a query where we have found out which is the most popular genre, right? That is this one here. I think it was rock, right? So now maybe we can reuse that query. Okay, and for that particular most popular genre, we need to know who are the 5 most popular artists. Okay, and popularity is defined based on how many songs an artist has performed in for the particular genre. Okay, display the artist name along with the number of songs. Okay, so they have already given us the definition for popularity here, right? Now let's try to solve this problem. So find the 5 most popular artists for the most popular genre. So what I'm going to do is, to find the most popular genre, I'll just reuse this query. So I have this query here, and maybe I'll reuse this entire query. Okay, so I'll just put this here. Okay, so if I run this, this is the most popular genre, that is rock, right? So maybe I don't need all of these second columns here, and maybe, yeah, so I'll do one thing. So this is my, from here I'll get my most popular genre, and I need to find the 5 most popular artists. Okay, and popularity is defined based on how many songs an artist has performed in for the particular genre. So for each of this genre, how many songs an artist has performed. Okay, so how can I find this? Any hints? I have the most popular genre using this query. In order to find the 5 most popular artists, which table should I use, and with which should I join? Tracks. Okay, find the most popular artist, right? But defined based on how many songs an artist has performed. How many songs? If you want to know, of course, tracks is the only table which has how many number of songs, right? So first of all, to find the most popular uh, for the most popular genre, what I'm going to do is this city I already have here, and maybe I'll create another city, and I'll just tell the rank equal to 1, right? So I'm just going to move this to the right. Call it like most popular genre, okay? As and I just need the genre name here. I don't need anything else, and maybe I'll just okay. So select whatever genre I have got from above where the rank is 1. Okay. So now if I do select from most popular genre and here I do star, hopefully I will get rock. Okay. So I have got this. Next, what I need to do is I need to filter the data from my tracks table only for this particular genre, right? So what I can do here is I can just say track, okay, T, and then I need to join it with my most popular genre here, right? Uh, okay, but here I only have the genre name. I do not have the genre ID, right? So what I can do here is I can also fetch the genre ID. So I can say g dot id, okay, which should be my genre ID here, right? If I run this, okay, so I need to group by the genre ID as well. So I'll try to do that. Okay, so I'm still getting an error. Genre name, genre ID. Mm, genre ID g.id does not exist. Okay. Okay, so genre ID column name is this one. So this one and this one. Okay, so I'll run this. Okay, so here I'm getting all the genres. So rock and let's say I'll fetch the genre ID here and this one. Okay, so I have now got the genre ID from my this subquery here, that is most popular genre. Now what I want to do is I want to find the most popular artist. Okay, so popularity is here. They have already given us the definition for popularity, so we don't need to consider our own definition. Sometimes our thinking might be different from what is given, so it's always better to look at what is given in the problem. Okay, so here it's telling that popularity is defined, if maybe they have a requirement where the popularity here is defined not based on the sale but based on how many songs an artist has performed. Okay, so what I need to do is I have the tracks and I join it with this, and let's say I will call it like pop, okay, or something like that, and I'll say pop popular this one dot genre id equal to t dot genre id. So this will only fetch the data for the rock, okay, and then here I can just say group by what is that, in my track table I have uh, artist id, right? Okay, so I need to find the five most popular artists, right? I don't have artist in my track table, so I will need to join it with the other table, that is album. So I'll say al al dot album id equal to t dot album id. Okay, so once I have got this, okay, so once I have basically joined it with the album table, then I need to extract the artist. So I have my artist in my artist table, so I'll join it with artist ar on ar dot artist id equal to al dot artist id. Okay, and then here I can just tell ar dot artist. Okay, I can just tell ar dot name as artist name. Okay, and here I can just tell group by artist name, and this will be my count of 1 to find how many songs each artist has written for the genre rock, and I'll say order by 2 in descending order. And now if I run this, now I can see that Led Zeppelin has basically written 114 songs, okay, and U2 has written 112 rock songs, Deep Purple 92, and etc. So I want to find the top 5 artists who has basically who identify the five most popular artists for the most popular genre. So I want to only find the first five, right, for this particular genre, that is rock. So from here, if I want to again fetch the first five, again I just need to use the rank window function. So what I'll do is, since I will need to use another subquery here, I'll try to use it. I'll create another with clause. So I'll just move this to the right. Okay. And I'll open a bracket here, this one, and here I'll put a rank. So I'll say rank, and I'll say over order by count of one in descending order, and this is going to be my rank. Okay. And I'll say, maybe I'll call it like final data. Okay. And then finally here I'll have my final query. So select from final data where rnk is less than 6. Okay, because I'm interested in, and this count, maybe I'll say as number of songs. Okay. And now if I run this whole query, and I'm getting a error. Okay, so I missed the as clause here. And now if I run this query, so let's say I'll move this to the, if I run this query, I'm still getting an error. Final data as. Can anyone tell why I'm getting this error? What is the problem in this query here? So I have the comma here. Syntax error. What is the syntax error here? Anyone? So I open the bracket here, I open the bracket here, I put the comma, final data as, what am I missing here? Final data as, there is a comma after as. Oh, okay, okay, sorry. So there is a comma after as, yeah, correct. Okay, so now let's run this. Okay, so now I think you have got the data. So we have the artist name, comma, number of songs. Okay. So here you can see that we have written three different with clauses. Okay. But since we solved this problem one by one, step by step, it might seem very easy. But if you have to write everything from scratch, maybe it would be a little, you may have to think a little harder. Okay. But I think that's all. So this problem, is it clear? Any confusion about this? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you assignments for all the remaining queries. Okay. You need to practice. It's a new data set. It will be challenging for you to understand this practice. And I want to tell you one more thing. All of these problems that I have solved, right? Every single problem can be solved in multiple different ways. Okay. Can you take it like a challenge to solve the same problem in a different way than what you see the solution here? Okay. Because um, yeah, because anything that you use subquery joins can be done in so many different ways. Okay. uh, so I'm going to give you some assignments. Okay, just 1 minute. So which are the problems that we have solved? So one, and then after one we solved 11, 10. Okay, so I'll give you all the assignments. 1 minute. So I have these. This is second one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 is, okay, 10. Then 11 we have already done, but I'll just mention it here. Then I have 12. So I have these 13 SQL queries that is related to this particular project. Okay. Now I think out of this, I have already solved 13, 10, 1, 2, 3, and 4. So I have already solved, I think, 4 problems. Okay. The remaining 9, maybe you can solve it on your own. Okay. I'll share the solution to these problems maybe tomorrow. Okay. So that you have at least one day to solve this without looking at the solution. Uh, so I'm going to end the class here. I have another 15 minutes. Maybe I'll just show you one document, one file that I'm preparing with all the popular inbuilt functions. I'll show you that. I have not completed that, but I'll show you whatever I have completed. Okay. Uh, I wonder if there is a way to have a best practice cheat sheet based on scenarios. Rank for any situation. Actually, I do not have such cheat sheet. It's just the more you solve, you will get an idea. I'll tell you one thing, okay? I have asked many people to share with me interview SQL queries. Okay, if you have seen my post on LinkedIn and YouTube, and actually I have got a lot of emails, okay, with all the interview queries. I have got interview queries from TCS, Cognizant, from FANG companies, from the big four accounting firms. I have got interview queries where okay they have not mentioned from which company it was. Okay, some questions from this Tiger Analytics company and many other. Okay, but whenever I'm solving those queries, right, I look at a problem, I try to solve it. Automatically, I kind of get an idea that I have seen similar kind of problem somewhere else, and at that moment I used this particular function to solve it, or this particular concept to solve it. Okay, and I'm able to get that idea because I have solved hundreds of different SQL queries in my career. Okay, and I don't think so. I have never looked at a cheat sheet. Okay, and if there was a cheat sheet, that would be good, but whatever you're asking, right, the best way to solve it is the more you solve, you will get idea automatically. Okay, schema is that concept. Can you share your LinkedIn ID to add? You will find my LinkedIn in YouTube. Okay, recording stopped. No, the recording is going on, right? I see the recording is still going on. Okay, so all of this assignment I'll give it to you. I'll just put it into the notes file for today, and then I'll show you one file that I have prepared. Okay, so this is my session 20. Actually, this is the rescheduled session 13, right? So I'll just put the same name, session 13, session, put it like session 20, maybe notes, rescheduled session. Okay, so, okay, fine. So I think that's all I have for today. We are almost ending our almost all the courses. I'll just show you one file that I prepared. So that is this one. So I think it is Shiva. Dates from the inbuilt from Excel file when you will be sharing and when you will explain scenario tomorrow. Okay, so Shiva, this is that particular file. Okay, so I think you have been asking about this. Can you guys see it? So I came up with this file. Okay, this is maybe you can treat it like a cheat sheet for all the inbuilt functions in SQL. So it's not fully complete. Okay, but I'll complete it today and I'll share the final version tomorrow. Okay, but what this has is if you so for example different people use different rdbms. So let's say I'm going to filter based on PostgreSQL. Okay, so I filter based on totally I have 96 functions. I have not included all the functions. Okay, because I have included functions, the functions which I have used personally in my life, and the functions that I have seen people using in with my experience, and the functions that I think are actually useful in different scenarios. Okay, uh, so I have not used all the functions because if you go for all the functions, there will be hundreds of functions, hundreds of inbuilt functions, and trust me, 90% of the inbuilt functions you will never use. Okay, it depends on what you come across in your project. So, for example, you go to PostgreSQL, and then here you can filter based on string or date functions. Okay, so let's say you choose string functions. So generally in PostgreSQL, these I would say are the most popular string functions. Okay, then what I have done is I have given you this column where I have a syntax. Okay, this is like a sample syntax. Okay, uh, just some samples for I started when I started creating this sheet. Every function I executed in the database, and I gave an example and I try to show it. But with time, this was like becoming taking too much of time for me. Okay, and then I took it from the certain websites. Okay, I have all the websites that I have taken. I have the reference link here. You can refer to that. But first of all, here, so let's say concat. Okay, I have an example here. I will give you a description what that function does, and then let's say left. Okay, so if there are different variations to a different depending on different arguments that you give. So let's say if I give a positive number here for left, what happens? And if I give a negative number, then what happens? Okay, I have shown you a sample here. Okay, and it's there for every single function. Okay, so to care and what position does, what is the syntax for position, you will see it, because position, the syntax for position function is slightly different from other functions. Okay, what does translate do, what does replace do, everything is mentioned. Okay, and then if you go to date. Okay, so let's say if I choose date, you will see that for date you have this many. These are the most commonly used date functions. Okay, how to extract a day from a date or from a timestamp, it's mentioned here. So here you can either mention timestamp, or here you can mention date. So I have given different variations to that same syntax here. Okay, and then if you want to calculate your age in PostgreSQL, it is pretty simple. You can do that here. Okay, just by using this function. Okay, that is mentioned here. So similarly, let's say if I, and similarly, so let's say I'll remove all the filters. Okay, so similarly, you can see that based on your RDBMS, you can choose what type of functions you want to know about, and then you can go through this. Okay, now I'll not be sharing this file today because I have not finished it. So you can see here, I have written the functions that I want to cover, but this syntax I still need to prepare. Okay, I'll prepare some sample syntax because these are some special functions like string aggregate, string split, stuff, everything. I'll try to come up with a syntax for that by today, and I'll share it tomorrow. Okay, and same way for MySQL also, some of the syntax I have not yet finished. Okay, so I'll try to finish all of this. I have some 96 functions. Okay, and trust me. Okay, once you finish this class, just go through this Excel file. Okay, depending on which are, don't go through every single function, because only the database that you are using. Choose your database and then go through all of these functions one by one. Okay, and you don't have to by heart all of this. Okay, you just have to go through this and remember when you're going for an interview, it will kind of, you will kind of know that, okay, so if I have to find the age, then I have a function called as age. Okay, maybe I can use that. Okay, and maybe you want to do something else. Okay, maybe you want to fetch the current date, or you want to find a position of a particular substring in a string. Okay, all that, if you just go through these functions, you will get an idea of what functions are available in a database, and then what you can use, okay, for a particular requirement. Okay, now these are all the functions that I have taken which I feel are required. But if you want to get access to complete list of inbuilt functions, and inside each of these inbuilt functions, some of these inbuilt functions, there are lot of different variations you can do. Okay, if you want that complete picture, then I would highly recommend you go through this reference link. Okay, this is from these websites. So PostgreSQL oracletutorial.com, SQL Server tutorial.com, MySQL tutorial.com. Okay, and for all the different type of functions. Okay, so this is my even I have referred to the same website. You can also refer to the same website. From these websites, I have taken only the function that I feel are actually important. Okay, so you don't have to end up looking at hundreds of different functions. Okay, uh, I hope this will help, Shiva. Is this fine? And the thing is, I do not want to spend much time explaining this, because I have already given you the syntax here. I have already given you the description here. If you spend few minutes, you will come to know everything on your own. You don't need someone else to explain this. Okay, because inbuilt functions are pretty straightforward. They will do what they are meant to do. So okay, so where was Shiva? Okay, so Shiva, this is what you wanted, right? Okay, thanks. Thanks, Kaisong. I was waiting for something like this. Okay, that's good. This will be invaluable education. Okay, I'm late, woke up late. Okay, no problem, man. Thank you. Can you also list the challenges website? Can you also list the challenge Murli, I didn't get you. What do you mean? Can you list the challenge website? What is challenge website? When you say challenge website, do you mean practice SQL queries? Okay. So maybe I will put a sheet here. I'll create another sheet here. So practice SQL queries. Okay. And I'll come up with a list. Okay. Mm, so for practice SQL queries and any other reference link that I might have, right? I'll come up with a list here. Okay. So I'll do that today and I'll share it tomorrow. Okay. Uh, okay. So I think I'm going to end the class. Any questions that you might have in tomorrow's class, right? I already saw some messages in Telegram. You guys have some questions. I'm going to take questions which were. I'll try to start from the beginning. Okay. So I remember some questions that were asked by TASSR. Hey TASSR, are you present in the class? I don't know what is your name. I'm trying to refer you like TASSR, but I'm sure your name is something else. So if you're present, just let me know what your name is. Okay. I'll try to answer whatever question and Q&A you have posted if it is relevant to my course. Okay, if anything is irrelevant for my course, then maybe I will skip it. I saw one question where someone told that I should show you an SQL query which is 200 lines or more and then try to explain it. I would love to do that. The problem is all the 200 plus lines of SQL queries that I have are from my actual project and I would not want to share it. Okay, from just from my practice, I don't have such queries, at least until now. Okay. I do not want to share some confidential project related things that I have, then I'll be in big trouble. But I'll try to search online. Okay, if I can get some, and if any of you have any queries, okay, some very big queries that you don't mind sharing, 200 lines or more, maybe you can share. We can go to in the class together and see how I would break down a query. Okay, for my understanding. If I will try to find it today. Okay, if I find it today, then in tomorrow's class I'll show it. But if I don't find it, maybe I'll make a YouTube video related to that, because this is something that I have got emails as well that people have asked me to make videos on. Okay, so knowledge and ideas implementing solve queries. We may share queries. Okay, thanks, Dolly. Will not share it with anyone. Okay, okay, but I cannot share confidential things here. Okay, one more thing is, if you have any feedback, right? Negative feedback is also welcome. Positive feedback is of course welcome. Okay, just put it in the testimonial section in Light Hall. Okay, you can also put it in my YouTube, but no problem. But I think Light Hall would be a better platform, because this is where I'm conducting my course. Tomorrow if someone else wants to take up my course, they will look at your comments. Okay, and then maybe based on your comment they might then be able to make a better decision. Okay, so negative or positive doesn't matter, but try to be as honest as possible and try to remember what this course was. Don't try to put a feedback telling that performance tuning was not covered, because I never told you that I'm going to cover performance tuning. Okay, so try to see what the course was about and then try to put your feedback. Okay, I would highly recommend your I would definitely appreciate your feedbacks. I saw Adam has put a feedback. Thanks for that. But don't put a feedback saying that I want Python codes, I want this codes, because that can be a request, right? Request, you can send it separately. This testimonial is like your feedback, right? What did you learn from this class? Okay, what did you not like about me? What did you not like about this class? What do you think should be improved in the next class? Okay, what do you think you liked? What do you think you learned? Okay, what would you recommend? Whom would you recommend this course for? Okay, something like this. Okay, and be as honest as possible. If you want to scold me, you can scold me, no problem. Okay, try not to use bad language, that's it. Okay, because it's an online platform, everyone can see it. But other than that, just be honest. Should we do Python as well on the good level for going in product based company? Product Python is not mandatory. Okay, I know many data analysts who only use SQL and Excel. Trust me. Okay, and they use maybe a visualization tool. Okay, in-house visualization tool. Actually, next Monday I'll make a video where I'll tell you the easiest way to become a data analyst. Okay, because my own sibling and my wife and everyone want to become a data analyst. They are currently working on a different field, and this is what I told them. Okay, the easiest way to become a data analyst. So I thought, let me make a video with the same inputs that I have given to my family. Okay. Okay. So anything else that you want to say? Uh, okay. Thanks, Murali. Thanks, Tim. Thanks, Dolly. Quick question: at what point should people use Python over SQL? It's like we use Python and SQL both together, right? When you want to do so SQL has a different use case, right? If you want to extract the data, you have to use SQL. If you want to fetch the data from the database, you have to use SQL. Python, you cannot go to the database and fetch the data, right? Once the data is available, once you have extracted data from SQL, then you can put it into a Python pandas data frame, and then you can do some quick analysis and visualize data using matplotlib or etc., right? So both will have their own use cases. So keep pool in Telegram. What is this? Keep pool in Telegram. I didn't get you. In SQL and Python is used interchangeably. Both are used. Okay, SQL and Python. If depends on what project you're working, and if your project is using Python and SQL both. Okay, where do we put feedback? You can put your feedback in testimonial section. Does everyone know where is testimonial in? If you just go to the class and if you go to my profile, right? I think if you click on my profile, you'll see a section to put a feedback about me. You can also put feedback about this platform as well. Okay, if you think something can be improved about Lighthall or what you liked about Lighthall platform. Okay, should we do Python as well as on a good level for going in product based company? See, if you know Python, right, you open lot of opportunities for yourself. Okay, lot of opportunities are available if you know Python, and especially if you know pandas, NumPy, and matplotlib, and then the basic Python. If you know these, right, you don't even need to know all, because Python can be used for many different ways. Python is used for data analysis. You can use Python for web development, so you may need to know some frameworks like Django or Flask. Okay, or you can do machine learning, right? If you know some machine learning libraries in Python, you can use Python, and for automation as well you can use Python. Okay, but for data analysis, if you know basic Python, pandas, matplotlib, NumPy, I think you are good enough. Okay, you don't need to do anything else. Okay, access for long time duration, sir. Shiva, I know, man. I cannot do anything for this access for long time duration, but Sorush had promised me that after, when it comes to the last stages, let's say after 5 months, if they see a lot of people are still accessing the recording and they get a lot of requests that they want some extension, then maybe Lighthall can consider an extension for a month or two. Okay, but they need to see that there is still traffic going on into this recording. But if they see there are only one or two people who is accessing the recording after 5 months, then for them it might, because I think there is a cost involved, okay, to keep the recording for more than 6 months. Okay, and that is the reason why they don't do that. If it was free and there was no expense at all, then maybe they could have keep it forever. But there is a cost involved because this is handled by some third party software. I don't know. This is what I think. Okay, if Sorush is here, he can correct me. But I think to keep the recording for more than 6 months, again uh, they need to. I think the company who is keeping this recording, they need to again pay them money and etc. So it becomes more expensive for the platform. Okay, but let's say if they see there is a lot of traffic going on, maybe they can extend it. Okay, so one thing to improve timing, hard to work by. Yes, I understand, Rahul. I think I'll be moving to a different country. From there, I think this 5 a.m. timing and all will be completely different. I don't know what will happen in the future. Probably should do in the weekend. Let's see. When I wonder when will company choose to use SQL and when to use. Um, they use both. Okay, difficult to answer this question. Okay, what's a complex topic? It depends on the use case. Okay, so Tim already answered that. Access for long time. Okay, thank you so much. It was nice to attend your class. I will keep looking for new videos on YouTube. Looking forward to real advanced SQL course in future, which developer can get benefit. Take next level toward data architect. Okay, so I think Jay, you're interested in data architect. You probably will need to learn much more than SQL for that. But I think this was a starting point for SQL. Going forward, you can solve SQL queries. But noted on your feedback, Jay. Thanks for that. You can do plenty of useful things in Python without using database or even data frame. It depends on the need. Yes, right. Oh, Paul. Okay, okay. So what was? Dolly, you asked for something with a poll, right? What was that? I forgot. Okay, okay, fine. Uh, thank you, Bhavesh. Once data is available and you want to do something with it, make an API or some complicated stuff. Use. Okay, I tried now, but it has kicked out of the class. We'll do after class. Oh, okay, okay. So you can add the testimonial after the class. Um, Spark. Use the Python can be deep as shallow as you need. How long does it take to learn basics of? You can learn basics of Python in 1 month, in my opinion. Difference between a data engineer and data analyst. So in analyst is someone who is going to analyze. Basically, a data analyst is expected to extract the data, analyze the data, and draw meaningful insights from that data. Right? He needs to analyze the existing data and tell what any you need to answer some. You need to provide some solution to the problem, like answer some questions relate using the data. Data engineer does not bother about providing insights from the data. What data engineer mainly does is he kind of build pipelines, right? He's mainly responsible for moving data from one place to another. Okay, and in order to move data from one place to another, he might build a pipeline. Okay, so pipeline, when I say, it might be some sequence of jobs you might build using a ETL tool or whatever. Okay, where you might extract the data, might be in the source database or somewhere, and you write some scripts and some you build a basically pipeline where it will automate the process of pulling the data from source and then transforming the data and then loading the data into the destination data warehouse or database. Something that is what a data engineer mainly does. Okay. um, will get help from you through SQL group. The Telegram group will be available. I think until and unless you guys want to, whenever you want to exit Telegram group, you exit. There's no compulsory, but whenever I can answer some questions, and I have free time, I will answer it. Okay. What I like about Python is that it's fully object oriented. Okay, so Tim is a big fan of Python. I know that. Even I am a big fan of Python. I think anyone who learns Python will become a big fan of Python because it is, and once you start learning Python, right, you'll realize that there is so much you can do in Python, so much interesting things. You can actually build simple games in Python within few, like maybe in few hours or few days. Useful platform for people who are coming from non-technical background to learn from scratch. I go, okay, I'm happy to hear that, Pratiksha. So, okay, Shiva, thank you. I will take what I will take whatever class you teach. If you are teaching on Lighthall, I'll be there. I guarantee you will be sick of me. Okay, I'm happy to hear that, Tim. I already have seen you. I know, Tim, you have been part of my every single course. I know that. Okay, so thank you so much for that. I don't want to scare you guys, but Microsoft RPG 3 Semantic very soon will take over the scripting, including SQL. Great course. Okay, so Asgar has shared some insights from his own experience and knowledge. I'm not really familiar with RPG 3, but maybe if someone is interested, they can look into that. Which are the fields related? Which are the fields related data? So if you want to work in the field of data science or data analytics, data analyst is your starting point. Okay, try to become a data analyst first. Then from there you can move on to become a data scientist. Or if you want to may only be involved with uh, coding, okay, then maybe data engineer is a good choice. Okay, but if you are not that comfortable, if you do not like programming so much, then maybe you can choose data analyst. Data engineer needs to know a lot more programming than a data analyst needs to know. Data analyst needs to mainly focused on looking at the data and understanding the data and needs to answer questions using data. Okay. Sandeep, thank you. Tawfiq course has been very useful, especially for boosting confidence throughout process of writing queries. I'm happy to hear that, Sandeep. How long does it take to complete and for an automatic boring? Okay, so Ramesh, this automated boring stuff with Python book, right? I think it depends on how much time you can give every day, but generally, if you can give 1 month, okay, just give 1 month for Python. Start from the big book from the beginning. I think in 1 month you will be in pretty good state. Okay, and the thing is, you don't have to complete the entire book. The first part of the book only takes you through uh, the basics of Python. Okay, until and you will have a lot of projects to work on. I think if you finish half of the book, you will still be pretty good with Python. You don't need to finish the entire book. Okay, because the later part of the book will show you about how you can automate scripts. Okay, how you can automate and how you can send emails and a lot of such things which may not be required for everyone. Okay, so I think the first half of the book should be pretty good for everyone. I'm pretty happy with that course because I have confidence to solve any kind of queries and looking forward continuous videos in the YouTube. Okay, thank you so much, Anbu. I think Anbu also I have seen in other courses, if I'm not wrong. Thank you so much for the efforts you have taken. I learned many things from your course. Thank you, Banumati. When are you planning to start Python? Python, I'll be starting next year, man, Carlos. For the next 4 years, I'm not going to be doing anything. I'm just going to enjoy my new job and the new place. And I have a 1 month vacation, so I'll just focus on that. And I'll be making YouTube videos. That's the only additional thing I'll do. What is the name of the book? Automate the boring stuff with Python. You can get it for free PDF version online. It's also present in my blog if you want. Which SQL book good to refer and learn more? SQL book, I think Tim or someone was reading on SQL book from Stata. What was that from? From No Starch Press, right? I think maybe someone can recommend that book. I don't remember the book name. Python seems easy, just like tip of iceberg. When you go inside, it becomes scary. But that is true. Depends on what you want to use Python for. If you want to use Python for data analysis, you don't need to know all the advanced things. Simple things are pretty good enough. Okay, so I think that's all. I'm going to end the class here. Tomorrow is the last session, Q&A. I'll try to collect all the questions that you have asked from Telegram and from Discord and from LinkedIn, etc. If you want, if it would be helpful if you can again send those questions in Telegram, so I just have everything ready in one place. Okay, date function element for extension file when you will be sharing. Okay, Shiva, I already have it here. As you can see, I'll share it tomorrow. Okay. Okay, so that's all, everyone. Thank you so much for listening to me. I think I spoke a lot today. It's the last class, and your feedback means a lot. Okay, trust me. Um, you might think it's not that important. Even a simple two-word feedback or a very big feedback, a lot of negatives also helps me a lot. Okay, because then I can decide what I need to do. Because one thing I have got from you guys from this feedback is that the case studies that you shared about data with Danny, right? That case study, uh, the first person who shared that with me was Ahmad. Okay, I think he's not part of this live class, but he watches the recording. Okay, and he messages me in LinkedIn about this case study, and actually that case study was very good. Okay, and that is why I recommend it to you guys. Probably when I'm doing my next course, I will actually include my own case studies. Okay, so maybe I will replace this project with a case study. Okay, so like what Jay suggested in the last class, and I think I will still have this project, but I'll probably give it like an assignment, but I'll come up with my own case studies. I'll do that. Yeah, so um, case study is kind of like you have a scenario, and based on that scenario you need to go step by step to solving a problem, something like that. Okay, I would recommend that you watch that Danny with data with Danny case study. I think it's pretty good. Anyone has a link, maybe they can share it. Okay, thanks, Rahul. Okay, so I'm going to end the class. I'll stop